All right, let's just dive right in. For as long as we've been able to look up at the night sky, we've tried to draw a map of, well, everything. But here's the thing. Every single time we thought we had the map finished, some new discovery would come along and just completely shatter our whole understanding of the universe. So today, that's what we're going to do. We're taking a journey through those incredible revolutions, redrawing our map of reality, one shattered dome at a time. And we're going to kick things off with this powerful quote from the amazing astronomer Vera Rubin. It just perfectly sums up the mystery we're exploring. Imagine thinking you've mapped the entire ocean, only to find out you've just been charting a single, tiny bay. So what on earth is the other 95%? To answer that, we have to go back and see how we even got to a question that wild. To really get our heads around that 95% mystery, we have to travel way back in time. Back to our very first cosmic dome. It was a vision of the universe that was simple, it was elegant, and honestly, it just felt right. For thousands and thousands of years, this was it. This was reality. The geocentric model, championed by big thinkers like Aristotle, put us, a stationary, unmoving Earth, right at the center of a perfect, unchanging cosmos. The sun, the moon, all the stars, they were just lights embedded in these perfect crystal spheres, all rotating around us in this beautiful, divine dance. It was a cozy universe, and humanity was the star of the show. But there was a glitch, a really annoying little inconsistency. See, while most of the stars stayed fixed in their constellations, a few of these bright lights seemed to just wander across the sky. They had a mind of their own. The ancient Greeks even had a name for them, planets, which means wanderers. Their weird, looping paths were a puzzle that this perfect, Earth-centered model just couldn't solve without some really, really complicated fixes. The first cracks in that dome were starting to appear. So those wandering lights, they were the first cracks in the dome, all right? And they led directly to the first great shattering. This was the moment humanity basically got evicted from the center of its own universe. Our entire cosmic address was about to change, forever. And what's amazing is how fast it all happened. In the span of about a century and a half, this whole succession of revolutionaries just took a sledgehammer to the old reality. You had Copernicus suggesting, hey, maybe the sun is the center. Then Galileo pointing his telescope up and seeing moons orbiting Jupiter, not Earth. And then Newton came along and gave us the math to explain it all. The evidence just kept piling up. You can just feel Galileo's frustration in this quote, can't you? This wasn't some easy overnight change. He was basically shouting, look, the proof is right here. You just have to look. But a lot of very smart people refused to even peer through his telescope. I guess it's easier to cling to the old, comfortable map than to accept a radical new one where Earth is just another rock going around the sun. So this is the really critical part. With Newton's laws of gravity, the cosmos wasn't some mysterious divine play anymore. It was a machine, a magnificent clockwork solar system. It was predictable, mechanical, and governed by laws that worked the same for a falling apple here on Earth as they did for a planet way out in space. The first dome was shattered, but the new one, well, it was still pretty small. Okay, so for the next couple hundred years, humanity lived in this tidy, clockwork solar system, which was inside our home galaxy, the Milky Way. And pretty much everyone just assumed that the Milky Way was the entire universe. But it was time for the second great shattering. The next great mystery came from these fuzzy little patches of light in the sky called nebulae. For a long time, astronomers figured they were just clouds of gas floating around inside our own galaxy. But as telescopes got bigger and better, like this one giant called the Leviathan of Parsonstown in the 1840s, they started to reveal something shocking. Some of these nebulae had these incredible, distinct spiral structures. And that observation kicked off the next huge debate in astronomy. Were these spiral things just pinwheels of gas right here in our own backyard? Or were they island universes? Entire galaxies, just like our Milky Way, but millions and millions of light years away. The very scale of reality was up for grabs again. The man who finally stepped up and answered that question was an astronomer named Edwin Hubble. And he didn't just expand our map of the universe, he was about to prove that the map itself was stretching. What Hubble did was just a masterclass in cosmic detective work. So first, he proved those spiral nebulae were in fact other galaxies unbelievably far away. But then he found something even weirder.
The light coming from almost all of them was stretched out, it was redshifted. And here's the kicker: the farther away a galaxy was, the faster it was moving away from us.
The implication of that was absolutely mind-bending. The universe wasn't just this static collection of galaxies hanging out in space. The very fabric of space itself was expanding in all directions. This discovery completely shattered our idea of a calm, steady cosmos. And if it's expanding, you can rewind the clock, which implies a beginning, a moment of creation, that the astronomer Georges Lemaitre called a day without yesterday, the Big Bang. So our map now shows a universe with billions of galaxies all flying apart from some single point in the distant past. We've pretty much figured it all out, right? Yeah, not even close. Welcome to the third, and by far the most profound shattering of them all, the one we are living through right now. This one started with yet another puzzle. Astronomers, like Vera Rubin again, noticed that galaxies were spinning so ridiculously fast that they should be flying apart. I mean, the gravity from all the stars you can see wasn't nearly enough to hold them together. So there had to be something else there, something massive but completely invisible. They gave it a name: dark matter. So all the normal, visible stuff that we've been studying for thousands of years, how much of the universe is that, really? It's this much: 5%. Let that sink in. Everything we have ever seen with our eyes or our telescopes, every star, every planet, every nebula, every galaxy, is just 5% of what's actually out there. This is the ultimate shattering of our cosmic dome. And here's the full mind-boggling picture. Our familiar universe, everything we know and love, is just that tiny little 5% slice. Dark matter, that invisible scaffolding that holds galaxies together, makes up about 27%. And the biggest piece of the pie, a whopping 68%, is something else entirely. It's called dark energy. And best we can tell, it seems to be this bizarre, repulsive force that's woven into the fabric of space itself. And it's not just pushing the universe apart, it's causing that expansion to speed up, to accelerate. We are living in a runaway universe, and it's being driven by a force we absolutely do not understand. And look, if you're feeling a little lost and your brain hurts a bit right now, don't worry about it. As the Nobel Prize winner Saul Perlmutter says, you are in very good company. This is the absolute frontier of human knowledge. The smartest people on the planet are working on this, and they're just as stumped as the rest of us. So let's just step back and look at this journey. We went from thinking we were the center of everything, to being a small planet in a predictable clockwork system, to being just one galaxy among billions. And now we've had to accept that everything we can even see is just a tiny, tiny fraction of a vast, dark, and deeply mysterious reality. You know, every time we've shattered one of these domes, the universe we found on the other side was grander and stranger and way more magnificent than we ever could have imagined. So that leaves us with the ultimate question: what's the next dome? What incredible discovery is waiting just around the corner to redraw our map of reality all over again?